It's just circling. Why is it? There we are.
Dun, 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 dun. Yes.
We're back.
It's and two highly trained professionals.
And
Still
we
excited
act
to
as
be here.
professionals.
We're just excited it worked every time.
Yes. It's the small things in life.
Or-
If you can't be excited about the small things in life, why would you even be excited about anything?
Exactly. Oh, it worked? Wow.
Damn.
What the heck?
Miracles still happen.
Well, so for those of you who've not met us, that's Blaine Bartlett right
And
there.
that's Doland White.
Yeah, here we are. And we are at the precipice of a power of you for about the next 40 minutes or so.
Yep. And this is designed to basically allow Dolan and I to riff. this this
What?
this is a vanity project. I guess
This
would be
is-
a way to talk about it.
We just
Power
get-
of you, yeah, everything to do with leadership. So
Yeah.
we're running literally anything that might happen in an organization or that you've ever thought might happen in an organization through a leadership filter.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then talking about it as if we knew something about it, which surprisingly we do.
Surprising, funny how that works out. Funny, we were
And we've
chuckling.
got bump over combined 90 years of experience doing this stuff. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we were chuckling yesterday when we were talking. We were talking about. So, how many hours have we been doing this? And it's like it's incalculable. I don't know
Yeah.
how we would.
tens of thousands.
I don't know how to count the hours we've been doing
Yeah.
leadership stuff. No idea.
A lot of time in harness. What are we
Yes.
talking about today?
Today,
Today,
one of the things I love that, although there's an official title, but the general premise is what got you here won't get you there. And which is build tomorrow's organization. The official, the professional leadership title is build tomorrow's organization.
that one right there.
But I love the kind of the concept of the, you and I talk about this with our clients, especially when we're challenging them to think differently. And which is what got you here isn't going to get you there. And
Right.
there's a lot of things, right? There's many, many, many things. This is not an AI conversation, AI, blah, blah, blah. But this is about that topic. How do you, as a leader, how do you build tomorrow's organization? What do you do? This is an important one. They're all
It
important.
is. Yeah, because and here's why it's important, because most of us have inherited our organizations. And I say by inheriting our organizations, I'm talking about the models that we use to
Yeah.
kind of structure what we do and how we do it. We
Yeah.
inherited those, and we don't, for the most part, really give a whole lot of thought to, is there a better mousetrap
Right.
that we could actually design that would actually be more effective in allowing us to get where we say we'd like to go. To your point, what got us here won't necessarily get us there with the kind of elegance that we would like to experience.
Mhm.
And elegance meaning, we don't look good while we're doing it. It means minimal unintended consequences, although we might want to look good while we're doing it.
That's true. That's true. Which we already do. However,
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we're looking at doing here. So we start every one of these conversations with the look at, what are the speed bumps that we typically would run into from a leadership perspective. And we got 4 of them, and we limit this to 4 because we could go on forever just on the mistakes that were made. But these seem to be the 4 most prevalent, if you will.
Right. It would be interesting. We could do an entire hour just on the mistakes. I don't know if anybody feel good about themselves at the end of it. But let's
Right. We want to uplift.
Exactly. It's that arc. But first you believe your job is to make the important decisions. And we talk about to Blaine's point earlier, leaders, as you listen to this, we have a library of, goodness gracious, now coming up on 90 almost, of the power views. And one of them, we talk about the 5 lives. But so when this resurfaced, I was thinking about that, which is you feel as the leader, you believe your job is to make all the important decisions. which is a model that you inherit. That's a legacy model that comes along with the title leader.
Yep.
And
And
interesting.
one of the, yeah, and partly the reason that, that model has held water for as long as it has is contained in the next line, which is people, you believe staying involved creates better outcomes. Well,
Mhm.
and it has to start looking different when you're in a leadership role. Yeah, that notion of being involved. What is it actually?
Right.
It's not getting your fingers in the muck all the time. That is not being involved. That actually is, involvement in a very negative way here, and you probably do that because your job is to make the important decisions.
You're right. So therefore I must be involved.
Yep.
And if we're going to grow, then if those first two parameters are correct, then the only way we're going to grow is if I exude more control, apply more controls. So let's have not definitions, but let's make that control tighter. So if you're going to make a decision, you've got to come back to me because I'm going to be
Yep.
involved and I'm going to apply more controls. I'm going to ask you questions. I'm going to interrogate you when you come to me. We're going to have controls because we're going to grow. If we're going to grow, we got to control it.
Got to control the growth. Yeah, and we got to
Right.
control the input, and hopefully that will actually have impact on the output.
Right. Yeah. Got to
Yeah.
control it. Boy, if it's not
So,
controlled, I'm not doing my job.
and the mindset, the paradigm that's in place around that has to do with, believing that every effect has a cause. Now,
Yeah.
this gets a little,
Oh my.
cause effect. There's a linear time frame that kind of goes into play here, and it is almost always past oriented. Yesterday's leadership produced this result. It produced that movement, which then produced this result. So you can kind of track it back, going, okay, cause effect, cause effect, cause effect. That worked. Yesterday's leadership actually got us to where we are today. Let's just do more of that.
Right. Right.
And tomorrow is not going to be anywhere at all resembling what today is like.
No.
You got all kinds of stuff coming down the pike.
No.
AI, we've got political instability, we got economic upheaval, we got oil and I mean energy,
Stuff.
fill in the blank.
Right.
So yesterday's leadership thinking won't get us to where we want to go from an organizational perspective. And by an organizational perspective, what we're talking about is an organization that is prepared to actually work with a future state that is completely different than the current state and very different from the past state.
Right. Yes. There will be similarities, but it will not be the same.
Won't be the same.
No, guaranteed. And by 4 o'clock today, won't be the same again.
Exactly. Yeah.
Won't.
So partly what we're looking at here is how do you not change? It's not about being a better leader. It's about being a different leader. And being
Yes.
a different leader has to do here with thinking differently about how you approach what your organization is capable of producing.
Yes. Well said. Well said. And we love this. In leaders, we talk about this every time we do this. We talk about symptoms. And one of the things in the body of your organization is you'll see these aligned to the 4 mistakes. But when you are as a leader, you'll see symptoms in the body of your team if you are paying attention. Notice what you're noticing. It means you have to pay attention. And you'll see these in one or more places. It's not necessarily evident, which means you really have to be watchful and listen. Then the very first one is your team is talented, but they hesitate to act without your approval.
Mhm.
And I love that first one, which goes back to that first symptom. But the ripple effect of that is your team waits.
Yeah, you're the bottleneck.
They're waiting for you, right? And which creates its own challenge. And leaders, go look at your calendar, pop your calendar open. Don't do it now, but pop your calendar open when we're done and look at how many places during the day where you're being waited upon to make a decision.
Mhm.
You are the hinge. You're the hinge owner. They own the door. You own the hinge.
And the door doesn't move if it's not on the hinge or the hinge isn't working.
Right. So if you're not there, door's locked. So your team's talented and you got great people, but they know they're going to wait.
Yeah. Now you're doing that because you want to get you want to be involved. You want to be involved.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're going to call more meetings. Yeah. So messaging increases. Yeah. Yeah. Keep me informed on this. CC me on this one. Yeah.
Yes.
You want to be involved. Activity increases, but what you're noticing is that there's not a correlated improvement in the execution. You got a whole lot of movement, but little squeeze or little return on the squeeze that's coming into play here.
Yeah. I just love that statement. Activity increase. And boy, how many times have we seen that in our career? Everybody's busy getting nothing done.
Getting nothing done. But boy, we're doing it well.
Yeah. Look at us. We're moving, man. We are busy people. Have you seen my calendar?
Yeah. Which
I am.
actually feeds directly into number 3.
Yeah. Departments hit their goals while cross-functional work slows down. Success is measured locally instead of collectively. No matter what anybody says, leader, it's funny. It took me a long time to realize this, Blaine, that there was this leadership parlance. Well, I don't want silos. There's silos. Get over it.
Yep.
Just get over it. They're called departments, or if it's a holacracy, it's a working team, or what. The intention with this then is, how do we do cross-functional collaboration? Then how cohesively do we all adapt to the same outcome? Which
Yep.
we'll talk about. It's called For the Sake of What. We'll hook into that in a minute. But will you notice that breakage is when you see everybody's meeting their goals at different paces, and they are measuring themselves individually. So finance hit theirs, technology missed theirs, marketing is kind of on the way. This one, they're hitting their goals, and there's no cross-functional.
Yeah. And there's no cross-functional because control is limiting that ability to cross-functionally communicate. This siloing comes out. Siloing is a direct result of people's need to control what's going on.
Yep.
I want to control information. I want to control process. I want to control flow. I want to fill in the blank. The control will create siloing.
Yep. They will be there.
And it's not an accident that it happens. I mean, people aren't malicious. It's a legacy literally it's a legacy construct. The old leadership model was command and control. Command and control.
Mhm.
And in today's fluidly changing environment, rapidly changing environment, you can't have control. Yeah, you can have predictability components put in place. You can put in things that can allow you to get information, but these are all elements that need to be kind of unbundled a little bit here so that the system can flow and accommodate and course correct on its own. Pretty much when you have a matrixed organization that is cross collaborating, one person, this goes all the way back to numbers 1 and 2 as the symptoms here, your involvement can slow things down. Yeah. Your imposition of structures can slow things down. And this is all a function of legacy leadership. You inherited a model, a way of thinking, a way of interacting that worked when things were pretty slow.
Right.
Rapid rates of change, you can't control it.
Yeah. And then you see
what
that
you can do is guide it and influence it.
Yeah, they see that last piece about there's enthusiasm, then it kind of, when people ultimately return, that this too shall pass.
Mm-hmm. We'll go back to doing it the way we did it before.
Yeah. There's one thing you said, I think a leader's listening to this will give them a moment of tightening up. You can't have control because we're taught to have control.
Yeah. Especially when it looks like things are going off the rails. You grab the reins quick.
Oh, yes. What have you done to get this on? I hear echoes of the question, what have you done to get this under control?
Yep.
When something has slid off the rails, there is that clinch that happens there. So we won't talk about anatomically about what I'm referring to, but
But
yeah, no. What? I like this quote. If the rate of change on the outside exceeds the rate of change on the inside, the end is near.
yep.
God bless Jack.
Oh boy. Yeah. The rate of change is accelerating, and those of you that have been around Dolan and I for any period of time, you've heard us talk about this. The problem isn't the change typically. The problem is the
Oh,
disruption to relationships that the change causes. People have to reorganize their thinking. They have to reorganize their way of working. I mean, just
right,
all kinds of different things here. Relationships get perturbed, and people have relationships with everything.
right.
They have relationships with parking place. They have relationship with their chair. They have relationship, obviously, with their peers and their bosses, and all that stuff. If the rate of change on the outside exceeds the rate of change on the inside, the
The
end
end,
is near.
the end is near.
And you can't control accelerating change. You can influence how people react and respond. That's what we're looking at here. How do you actually influence it in service of something, a worthy ideal? We'll talk about that in just a moment here.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got an objective. You've got something that you're truing to. How do
Yeah.
you actually begin to influence how people think about how they're supposed to relate to that change, relate to that new initiative?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want them asking questions about relating to it,
Yeah. I
not
really like
complying
that.
with it.
I really like that concept you talk about, Blaine. And when we talk about this with clients, it is not about the changes going to occur. We've seen got what, four pandemics in our lives between SARS and Legionnaires, and we can go back
Spanish
into not
flu and
yeah, not to, yeah, yeah, not to go back and revisit all the all the stuff, but it is that relationship that change, because you screw a company up and you put people in it. It
yep.
completely screws it up.
That's just what happens.
It does.
So
Speaking
this
of
is about
leadership,
leadership. Go. Yeah.
well, so this is our definition of leadership, and we talk about this in every Power of You. And I'm going to go relatively quickly through this, but I want to lean in on some key facts. Leadership is the activity of influencing others to co-create coordinated movement in pursuit of a worthy ideal. Hard to enunciate. Blaine and I've been talking for about the last 3.5 hours. So, but what we're talking really about is when, as a leader, when your leadership presence, who you are as a leader, shows up before you walk into the room. Your role as a leader is activity, and leaders create movement. Bottom line is you're going to create movement, and it's the activity of influencing others. How do I bring them along? What am I influencing? Not command and control. What am I influencing? And that's a vibrational state. That is who you are, how you behave, how you manage your. We just spent an hour this morning on our mastermind that we teach, the executive mastermind, talking about being the commitment. I am the commitment, not I am committed to. How am I showing up? And others obviously are the people that are in this. And by the way, others is everybody in your organization.
Mhm.
Let's put an easy wrapper on it. Co-creating is when you think of command and control happens sometimes, but command and control is predominantly a management activity. It is task oriented, activity oriented. I'm going to resource on time, in budget, take care of my people. Co-creating is that opportunity for ideas, perceptions, challenges, to have that conversation. The outcome of co-creating then becomes coordination, which is mutual understanding, that agreement that we are going to move forward in a coordinated manner, movement in pursuit of the worthy ideal. You want to talk about worthy ideal?
And well, again, in our mastermind this morning, when we were working with this, we were looking specifically at this worthy ideal. I am a commitment,
Yeah.
and this worthy ideal comes into play here. What's important to understand is when change is occurring, people organize their behavior based on the meaning that they're assigning to that change. And
Yes.
their meaning is run through this filter about what's important. What's important. And that's where this worthy ideal, begins to come into play here. The worthy ideal isn't your vision. It's not your goals. It's not your objectives. Those are things that are in service of the realization of that worthy ideal. So it really is the answer to what matters here. We're doing this because X, and X is what matters. That's your worthy ideal. We're doing this, we're setting these objectives, we're targeting this in order to have something else solidify, come to life in a more fulsome way. That worthy ideal is what we track toward. And that's where you get emotional engagement. You don't get emotional engagement with vision, goals, and objectives. You just
No.
don't. You get buy-in, you get emotional engagement when something resonates. It's worthy of me. It's worthy of my energy. It's worthy of my efforts. It's worthy. It makes a difference to me. And then hopefully it will make a difference to you and to us. So that
Yeah.
worthy ideal, it's got some different levels to it, and it gets defined in different ways in the organization. This is what we're looking to have happen here. And then so when you're designing the tomorrow's organization, what's that more fulsome expression of who we are? We exist as an organization because of something. There's a worthy ideal that we're looking to bring to life. And this new initiative, this new goal taps into that as a way of pulling it out, helping to manifest it. So the worthy ideal, for the sake of what? It has to be a mantra that we keep coming back to.
Yeah, I love that. And one of the things, doing the exercise with the group that became very important is the worthy ideal. In leaders, if you have not identified the worthy ideal and you need help with that, you can reach out to Blaine and I, and we'll spend a few minutes with you and we'll give you a little deeper concept around worthy ideal and how to figure that out, what that means. Because we grind to goals. We have a tendency to grind to goals. Here are the things I want and the things I have to do. And here are the objectives. And then I get my worthy ideal. And goals and objectives are in service of your worthy ideal.
Yeah.
It is this way. Not
Yeah. And then Earl Nightingale. I mean, we actually,
Yeah.
cribbed this from Earl. Yeah. When he was asked what is success, he says it's continual pursuit of a worthy ideal. The continual pursuit. We never arrive. It's not about arrival. It's about that
Yes.
pursuit of a worthy ideal. I grow, we expand, we get better.
Mhm.
The more we move in that direction. Yeah. So that's what we're looking at.
Yep.
That's where the soul of the business comes into play here.
That is the soul.
Yes, that blueprint that looks to be expressed.
Yes.
So what we're inviting you to do here is reframe how you think as a leader. Leaders think the future requires better technology and adjust their investments to support that assumption. Better technology. Well, that technology is a part of it.
Mhm.
Okay. But take technology in the broadest possible sense of that word. Okay. You want to be able to do things differently here. The future requires a different way of leading. Yeah. Complexity can't be managed through more control. It just can't. Yeah. You have to invite people that are closest to the ground to actually have a voice, because they know how things work. Yeah. You're not going to be able to control that. You want to let effectiveness emerge,
Yeah.
which
I
is a
love
real challenge. Let effectiveness emerge. What are you talking about? I need to tell them how to do it.
No, yeah, no, don't do it. I love that because with complexity, matter of fact, it's funny you mentioned that, Blaine, because the rule is the greater the complexity, the less control.
Yep.
The
Absolutely.
the more complexity, the less control. It happens at the ground. And then speed can't be achieved through
Yep.
more approvals. You can't, and I'm leaning into it because we've talked about it, but you can't get to velocity waiting.
Yep. Run that up the flagpole. No, don't run it. Take the flagpole down. Let's just go do it.
Right. It's kind of like thinking about, I was thinking about a rocket on a launch pad, and you get all the way down to 2 and stop.
Yeah.
What happened to 1, 0? I'm waiting.
Yep. Yeah.
I can't launch my rocket because nobody said push the button.
Nobody said push the button. Yep. Yeah. And I'm not going to take initiative to do it because leaders are in a role and they have permission authority. So innovation doesn't occur, thriving doesn't occur without trust being in place. I have to be able to trust my team, my people. My people need to be able to trust themselves. They need to trust the system that's in place. Growth can't scale when every decision depends on a single leader. Because if that's the case, that dependency does not generate trust in the system.
Yeah.
Competitive advantage isn't having information. It's organizational capability. And what we mean by organizational capability is, what do you do with the information?
Yes.
How is it utilized?
Yeah.
And how quickly can people access the information and make decisions around the information that they have access to?
And leaders take a pause, inhale, exhale, sit up straight, put your feet flat on the floor. The mantra is AI will give you more information, therefore you'll succeed. It is not about that.
Nope.
It is exactly what Blaine was talking about, which boils down to, since I'm originally from Alabama, what the hell are you going to do with it?
What are you going to do with it? Yeah.
What are you going to do with it?
Yeah, last week's Power Review, we talked about the AI dynamic, and
We did.
From a leadership perspective, what do you do with this? Because most AI initiatives are not bearing the fruit that they thought when they were implementing it, when they actually began marching down that road.
Right. Not even close.
Yep. So it's a question of how you use information.
Yeah. All right. And then leadership law. I love this. The organization will never outperform the leadership system that guides it. I don't know if I could say that any more emphatically.
Yep.
No, that's as emphatic as I can get.
And notice the word system in that sentence. Leadership system. This is not about leadership as a role or leaders having a title. This is about the experience of having leadership as an activity understood in terms of what it provides. And it goes through the system. Everybody's a leader. Now you then have roles and responsibilities within that framework, but you begin to recognize that everybody's a leader. We're all always causing movement. And you want to have people schooled in what it means to cause movement in pursuit of a worthy ideal.
Right.
Rather than causing movement that stops things.
Right.
That's not my job. Yeah. That's an interesting dynamic. You'll hear that, and particularly when there's a lot of perturbation, disruption going on. And job dynamics begin to shift, work processes begin to shift, and you'll hear people say, that's not my job. And they dig their heels in. They don't understand that they're a leader. And their leadership move in this particular instance is throwing a monkey wrench into things. If they understood that they're leaders, that they are a leader, that opens up a different conversation to have with them about how you're going to pursue that worthy ideal at a personal level.
Right. Right. Very much so. So mindset. So we've talked about reframing, we've talked about the system, but from a mindset perspective, There's an I in front of this. Now we're speaking directly to you. By the way, this is to all of the leaders in your organization. This
Which is
not,
everybody.
yeah, by the way, right? So, but I develop leaders instead of creating followers. There's an old colloquialism, and we talked about this a little bit before from an organizational perspective. One of the great things of being a successful, one of the largest success indicators as a leader is you created somebody to replace you.
Yep. Your
Who's
bench
got
strength.
capability, capacity, and desire to replace you.
Yep.
And probably do it better. You've done a great job.
Which actually leads right directly into number 2 here. You strengthen the system before solving the symptom, because the symptoms are always going to be appearing. But you want to have the system in place, and by the system, we're talking about leadership system. A leadership system. How do people lead themselves, their teams, and ultimately the larger organization?
Yeah. Which hooks then into, I believe, long-term business success and human flourishing. Flourishing is what you do at night when you're going to bed. Flourishing are inseparable.
Okay.
But no, it is that
your dentist really appreciates it.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, they do. But it is that the compassionate nature of leadership, right? There's some guy that wrote some book called Compassionate Capitalism, sits right over his right shoulder, sitting on the shelf over there. But the long-term business success and human flourishing are inseparable. There is not a separate goal. It is not a separate focus. They are wed. Without them together, there is no power in either. Business success cannot happen, and human flourishing cannot happen if they are discrete.
And flourishing from a human perspective occurs when people feel safe. They feel safe when there's trust in the system, trust in the leadership that is holding that system together.
Yes.
And if you're looking for emotional engagement, high levels of emotional engagement, which translates to ownership of the process, ownership of the goals, ownership of what we're doing,
right,
trust has to be in place.
Yeah.
It absolutely has to be in place.
Yeah.
Trust. Yeah, and trust will then translate into some very interesting behaviors. You'll see people beginning to take initiative, doing things because they own, that for the sake of what now has become something that is actually viable.
Yeah.
It's something that people are actually truing to.
Yeah.
And which allows you to create shared understanding before you expecting alignment. Yeah. Now, here's the thing about alignment. Most people will treat alignment as a verb, or I'm sorry, as a noun. Do we have alignment?
Right.
Alignment is a verb. You are continuously going to be in the process of aligning as you're moving. I mean, just think about walking across the room. What most people think of is I have aligned my body in a way that allows for me to do this, and balance is now in play. No, you're actually out of balance the whole time. If you're walking across the room, you're actually falling forward. You think you're walking under control, but you're falling forward. Okay. Yeah. So it's a continual calibration. Yeah. Creating alignment between your center and gravity so that you can keep this movement going. That's what you're doing here. And the way that you do that is through shared understanding. What's important for the sake of what? So the different parts of the system actually begin interacting with each other as a way of keeping themselves in alignment as they move towards that worthy ideal.
Yeah. I love when you talk about that. I think of my 10-month-old granddaughter, Sadie, who's learning how to fall forward.
Yeah.
Who's learning how to fall forward. And then the last is I design accountability that develops people instead of controlling them. One of the things, and I'll say this again, accountability is not a Trello board, it's not a spreadsheet, it's not a sauna, it's a mutual agreement between two or more people to move together towards a common outcome, which is in this case for the sake of what Blaine and I were talking about. But when you design that accountability, and it is clear, it's critically important to design accountability. What does that mean? It connects to shared understanding. It connects to trust. It connects to flourishing. It connects back to the system. accountability is that mutual agreement that we have to and with each other.
Mhm.
And control can be misconstrued. So a lot of times, it's interesting. Glenn, I had a conversation last week with just a friend about the difference between measuring and controlling.
Mm. Mhm.
And a measure will tell you where you are on the path,
Yep.
right? And it could be easily said, well, then therefore, because I'm here on this path, it's going to control my destiny. I am now going to shift I can't change my accountability.
Yeah, not the same.
No, please don't.
Don't. Please don't.
Please don't. I think that was my comment to him was
Yeah.
please.
So, and you're talking about behaviors here. Yeah, leadership's not decided, it isn't defined necessarily by the decisions that you make. Now, the decisions are going to influence a whole lot of stuff,
Right.
but your leadership isn't defined by the decisions. It's defined by the leadership system that your decisions create. So this goes all the way back to mistakes. If I've got to be involved in everything, I'm controlling everything. If that's your leadership system, the decisions that you're making are supporting that system.
Mhm.
You want to start thinking differently. This is why we talked about, going, right back to here, leadership mindsets. You want to shift your mindset. You're making decisions that support the development of a leadership system. And that leadership system is one in which people feel empowered to make appropriate choices in service of that worthy ideal, appropriate
Right.
choices at their level of responsibility in the organization. Every decision that is made develops leaders, it builds trust, it creates shared understanding, strengthens the system, empowers ownership, and develops people. There is a litany of things that happen here. Every decision actually touches on all six of these.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are your decisions in service of creating a system that allows for the creation of this organization that will function effectively in tomorrow's world?
Yeah. So leaders screenshot that or come back and listen to it. But I think a lot of times we as leaders have an up there is a when we are making decisions, because part of leadership is the ability to make a decision, we have fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So integrate these into your process. Ask that question. Does what development comes from this? Am I building trust? Does it create shared understanding? Look for the gaps, and it will improve the quality. By the way, there's a whole Power View, 8-part Power View series on making decisions.
Yep.
Go watch that, please. But integrate this into the decision process. Does this decision empower or disempower? Do I develop or cripple? And it gives you those places in your decision matrix and process to really truly evaluate the quality of the decision that you're making.
Spot
And
on.
it will change your outcome a little bit.
So a little bit, yeah. So shifts to make here. Governing actions. Stop being the decision maker, become the decision architect. Dolan was just speaking about this. Yeah. So you're going to make decisions. Decisions then open up choices that people can actually leverage in order to do something. So be a decision architect. Architect decisions that illuminate different choices that produce different types of behaviors. That's what you're
Mhm.
looking at doing. This is a design question,
Yes.
which
Oh,
goes right directly to number 2.
which is so important. And architects build things that survive time. That's what architects do. So don't stop managing work. Design the system.
Let the system do the heavy lifting.
Yeah. Focus there. Design the system.
Stop communicating more. Now, what we mean by that is, I'm the boss. Hear me out. Okay. You want to start, instead of directive conversations, here's
Yeah.
what I have to say, here's what I want you to do. You want to start asking questions. that are geared towards what do you understand about what we're up to? Does, for the sake of what are we doing this? For the sake of what is this decision being made or this choice being entertained as a possibility? You want to begin asking more questions than telling. Asking more questions rather than directing. And it's in the question asking. Questions serve two purposes. They are obviously, well, you get information, but it also points direction. And one of the directions that you want people pointing towards is claiming more agency, claiming more responsibility, claiming
Yeah.
more accountability. And you
Yeah.
do that through the questions that you ask.
Yeah. Which hooks you to 4. Stop measuring activity. Don't what one of my favorite things. Well, are they busy?
Yep.
They don't look busy to me. Oh, okay. Measure capability.
The greatest measure of your leadership isn't how many people follow you, it's how well your organization performs when you're not in the room. Great story about this. Henry Ford. Remember
Yeah.
this one?
Yeah.
They had gotten a fair amount of success with the Model T. It was out there, it was being bought and whatnot. And Henry Ford said to all of his all of his managers, basically all of his managers, I'm going to, you guys done a great job. I want you to go on vacation. Everybody, and it's required. You have to go on vacation. So he sent them all, I think, down to South Florida or maybe to the Bahamas or something like that. But he sent them all away on a week-long vacation. When he came back, or when they came back, he had done an audit about how well their organizations were running when they weren't there. And those that were not functioning well because the boss had gone on vacation, those bosses were terminated because they had not set it up for their organization to run in their absence. Huge lesson to be learned out of that. Henry Ford cracked the code on this a long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, how well does your organization perform when you're not in the room? That'll tell you how well you're doing your job as a leader. Because if you're not developing leaders that can run it, you're not doing your job as a leader.
Yeah. As a leader, we knew, right? It was sorry. We could leave that there, but I was smiling as you were talking about Henry. There was a guy that we knew. We won't mention his name, but he said, Doland, the designation of a successful business is you go to bed at night, you wake up in the morning, and there's more money.
Yep.
It's like,
it's kind of like, this works.
All right, I got it. Anyhow, we'll go on. So why does this matter? So every time when we do Powers of You, we try to do this arc, and we talk about things inside of the Power of You. But the reason why this is included in our conversation is, okay, we've talked about a lot of stuff, but why the hell does this matter? Who cares? And it's the point is that leadership, it's not just another capability. It's the operating system. Leadership is the operating system that determines how your capability performs. That's really important. Really important.
Yep.
Leadership isn't just about what you do. It's your operating system. That's what we do through our mastermind. We don't have to talk our mastermind, but through the Soul of Business Mastermind, we help people in a year-long exercise instill an operating system into their business through mindset, compassionate capitalism, and empowerment that helps them build capable organizations that can sustain change, that can sustain all this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a leadership mastery program. And leadership can be mastered. I mean, it doesn't mean you reach a pinnacle.
Right.
It's an evolutionary process, but there's mastery along the way. And this is where the OS, the operating system, comes into into play here as a conversational way of as a way of having a conversation about what does it mean to be a leader.
Right.
Okay? What does it mean to be a leader? You
Right.
create organizations that can adapt, innovate, and grow, regardless of what the future brings. And that's the whole focus of this. That's the whole focus of this today.
Yeah.
Is how do you build tomorrow's organization? How do you build tomorrow's organization?
There you
You
go.
build it through your leadership function today. And it can't be the same leadership function that existed yesterday.
No.
It's not a better form of what was. It's a different way of leading, a different way of thinking about leading. That's what we're after with this.
The big win. The future won't reward the organizations with the best tools. It will reward the organizations with the best leadership systems. And some guys named Blaine and Dolan put this in there, blah, 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 and signed it, which means you can cash that check. You can take it to a Denny's and they'll give you free coffee. But
that's our arrangement with them.
There you go. But I think and the reason why, to me personally, why that's important is there's a lot of noise around AI and tools and technology, and if I have this, I can go faster, and I can all these things we can do. Organizations are rewarded with the best leadership systems, and that leadership system has to penetrate, permeate, and live within the body of your entire team. It is not just you. It's a system.
It's a system. And that's what we're talking about today.
That's it. Dun, dun,
Build
dun.
tomorrow's organization today, and you don't do it with yesterday's tools.
No, well, you could try.
Yeah, you'll get somewhere with it, but it's not going to be as ideally situated as you would like it to be.
I forget who said it. There will be a splat.
There will be a splat. Yep, there will be a splat.
I'll have to. I don't know. Maybe it was Snagglepuss. I'm not sure. But anyway, there will be a splat.
Okay.
On that note.
Yep. Take it away, Doctor.
There you go. On that note, thanks for being here with us. Reach out to Blaine or I if there's anything in here that you would like to hire AI or DI. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Vinay.
AI or DI. Thank you, Vinay. I see you. So, and thanks for being here with us. Appreciate you guys listening in on it. And come hang. We're here every Tuesday. Next Tuesday, yeah. I think it's a solo episode. I'll be here next Tuesday.
Yeah, there you go.
You're going to be in Japan.
I'll be in Japan leading a group of Japanese CEOs.
There you go.
A week-long exploration of what it means to lead tomorrow's organizations. And that's the whole focus.
Funny how that works out.
Yeah. Okay, folks. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.